Sneak peeks for the summer Clash of Clans update is here. Let's go over all of the balance changes coming in this update for defenses, troops, spells, and siege machines. We're gonna keep this short, sweet, to the point, so if you guys want to see more sneak peeks, then make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you do not miss this or any high quality content coming your way. Let's go ahead and start off on the defensive front. Walls are getting an HP nerf between level 9 and level 14. This is going to make a slight impact on those that break down walls, both troops and siege machines, but this will have no interaction with the earthquake spell. It will still take you 4. Alongside that HP nerf, we have a mortar HP buff between level 9 and level 14. This is the only buff it will ever get. Archer towers and expos are getting their DPS nerfed at level 16 and 17 for archer towers and level 6 and 7 for expos. While the drop isn't substantial, it is going to be at least a little bit more noticeable against tanky units such as giants, golems, and ice golems. Alongside this, the Inferno Tower is being nerfed by its DPS at level 6. This means that it's going to take a little bit longer for it to take out a unit, a tanky unit, at its max damage. It will still be pretty quick, but it won't be as quick. As well, the Multi-Inferno is also affected, since its minimum damage at level 6 is now only 80. It won't be noticeable on more fragile units, but on units that are tanky, it's going to pretty much whittle them down a lot less. However, red air bombs though are getting a buff to their DPS between level 5 and level 9. This will be a little bit more substantial against stuff like balloons, but also air troops that are fairly low on HP, especially if there are multiple red air bombs stacked on each other. We also have a change coming to the Eagle Artillery. It doesn't matter what level it is, it will no longer have inconsistencies. It will now always activate at 200 housing space. This is more of a rework than a buff or a nerf. Now, let's move on to troops. The P.E.K.K.A. is getting an HP buff between level 2 and level 7. This makes them slightly better, and not only that, it will be severely impacting all of the P.E.K.K.A. attacks, which is really awesome since P.E.K.K.As are still really strong as a way to clear out different areas, whether you're using it in a kill squad or you're using it for funneling. The Sneaky Goblins are also getting a DPS nerf at level 7 and level 8. They still do 2 times damage to resource buildings. You're going to be completely fine. This doesn't change it. The Giants are getting a DPS buff between level 7 and level 10. I don't necessarily think that this is a huge change, but I think with Giants stacked on top of each other, this can actually do a lot of damage for only 5 housing space. But of course, I don't necessarily think that this is going to change anything, especially let alone by itself. Now, the Flame Flinger is getting a pretty sizable nerf. It is having its direct hit damage radius reduced. Alongside this, it does have an increased fire damage from 20 seconds to 30 seconds. However, the max fire damage it now does has been significantly reduced at 80 at level 1 and all the way up to 120 at level 4, meaning that it's pretty much just going to have a level 1 max fire damage. So it is going to be a fairly big nerf, which is going to make this a little bit less viable, but we'll see how that changes things. With the reduced HP of the walls, the Super Wall Breaker's death damage is getting slightly reduced to match with the wall HP nerf. Bowlers are getting their HP buffed between level 1 and level 5. This is going to be fairly significant, especially against things like giant bombs or if they're being targeted by any other unit. This is going to make them under healers a little bit better, so make sure you keep the healers on them. Now, my personal favorite change is the Valkyries. They are getting an HP buff, a well-needed HP buff between level 5 and level 9. They are really fast and they can absolutely shred with the amount of damage they can do. And this is going to make a mass Valkyrie attack much better because they now synergize so much better with heal than they did before. That's not all though. The Super Valkyrie is getting a buff and rework. The Super Valkyrie HP is going up at level 7, 8, and 9. This means that it is going to be so much better. Not only that, but the Super Valkyrie attack speed is going to be reduced down to 1.1 seconds, meaning that she's basically going to be hitting every second. Alongside this, her movement speed has been decreased down to 3 tiles. Alongside this, the rage radius has been increased to 4 tiles. It's a slight change, but it might make the Super Valkyrie a little bit better to use. Now, let's move on to any spell changes. The clone spell's cap space has been increased between level 1 and level 4. This is more noticeable on the level 3, where you can now clone an extra balloon, meaning that in an Electron at Town Hall 10, you can now clone 10 balloons instead of 8, making this a fairly significant change. The skeleton spells are also getting their spawn count increased between level 1 and level 6 by 1. This means that it's going to be a lot better to use at the lower levels, so it doesn't necessarily matter what level you bring. You'll have a good amount of skeletons to easily clear any enemy heroes, distract, or even remove buildings in a Skelly Donut. Additionally, destroyed raid carts are now no longer affected by heals like before, but for the most part, this is what is in this sneak peek. All of these balance changes, and I tried to keep it short and simple to the point. If you made it this far in the video, consider using my creator code, CORRUPT. It really helps me a lot to create better and better content, and it's a great way to support the channel. Alongside that, consider subscribing and ringing the bell if you want to see more sneak peeks and high quality content just like this. And go ahead and check out my previous video all on pretty much the best attacks at Town Hall 12. So make sure you guys check out that video, and I'll be catching you in the next video. CorruptYT, signing out.